So, welcome back to the class of computer graphics and visualization. So, our today's topic that we are going to discuss here is a two-dimensional transformation in homogeneous coordinate system. That is the first topic, and another two small topics are there, that is inverse transformations, and third one is composite transformation. Okay. So, these are the three topics that we are going to cover today in this particular lecture is concerned. Okay. So, as per our previous lecture video, hope all of you might have already gone through that and you have already become familiar with the basics of two-dimensional transformations. Okay. So, the basic types of two-dimensional transformations are nothing but what? Translation, rotation and what? Scaling, and hope all of you might have gone through that video lecture in detail. Okay. So, translation is nothing but moving an object from one position to another position. Rotation is nothing but rotating an object with respect to an angle theta. Then scaling is nothing but what? Increasing or decreasing the size of the object or altering the size of the object. So, these are the three different basic types of transformations that we discussed. Okay. So, today we are going to take the same concept for which we are going to attach the another concept called homogeneous coordinate system. Today what we are going to do, we will be representing those three basic types of transformations in terms of homogeneous coordinate system here, homogeneous coordinate system. So, the very first question comes in our mind here is, what is the necessity of this homogeneous coordinates that we can adopt for our transformations are concerned, either it may be translation or rotation or scaling here. Okay. See, normally what happens when you have observed our translation, rotation and scaling. Okay. While doing the translation, we are going to perform addition over there. You might have observed it is an addition arithmetic operation, that is addition. And in case of what you call that rotation, there you are going to perform multiplication, and also in scaling you will be doing what? Multiplication. So, it means that, so one thing is confirmed here. Okay. Whenever I am going to perform any of these transformations, okay, sometimes I may need to perform addition or multiplication or it may be a combination of both. And another important thing, always do remember. Okay. So, whenever we want to create any realistic image, that is the animated effect image, okay, on any object as a part of that image, we need to apply these transformations at a time, means a combination of transformations that we may need to apply. See, for example, say when I will say that the cycle is moving in my image on the display screen as an object. Okay. So, when I will say that the cycle is moving, look at there, what are the different transformations which have been occurred over there. When the cycle is moving from one position to another position, translation is happening there. Okay. And when the cycle is moving, its wheels are also what? Rotating, and that cycle might be going in a circular path as per the road, and I may need to perform what? That wheels are rotating there, then some rotation is to be taken place. And as the cycle will move away from the screen, that the viewer, the size of the cycle may be get reduced. Okay. At that time I might be applying scaling. See there, my image is single, object is also what? Single, that is cycle, but I am applying more than one transformation at a time on that particular cycle, so that I want to create a realistic animated image. In that image, what I am going to create? A cycle is moving. Look at that. So, at that time, see there, if you consider cycle as a object, now how you will apply this translation, rotation and scaling over there? So, the very simple thing that you will get in your mind is what? First, I want to apply the translation, means my translation matrix will be added for my cycle object. Later, I want to multiply my rotation matrix with cycle. Then third one, to change the size of the cycle, then I might be multiplying my scaling matrix with the cycle. So, are you going to do with each and every vertex of that object which has been defined by that particular cycle there? that then it will be a very hectic job. Okay. So, that is the reason that somehow we want to make one common operation here, one common operation for all these three transformation. This is a very tricky concept here. Please try to understand rather than simply remembering the concept over here. The purpose of this homogeneous coordinate system is to bring all these transformations like translation, rotation and scaling with one single arithmetic operation, that is called what? Multiplication. If we multiply that, our job should be get finished. So, that is what with that intention we are coming up with this particular concept is concerned here. So, just have a look at the rest of the topics here. So, with respect to homogeneous coordinate system is concerned here. So, the very first point is three basic two-dimensional transformations like translation, rotation and scaling can be expressed in the general matrix form in this particular form. See there, what matrix form? P dash equal to m into p plus what? M2. Okay, where what is this M1 and M2? The M1 and M2 are what? The matrices. M1 is a 2 cross 2 matrix containing the multiplicative factors, and M2 is also what? A column matrix containing the translational terms. Is it clear? So, in that M2 we will be having a translation factors, then in M1 we will be having what? The multiplicative factors which belongs to what? Either rotation or what? Scalings are concerned. Okay. And next one, for translation, if the translation is taking place, then M1 will be always what? An identity matrix. So, in place of the multiplicative factors, M1 will be always what? Identity matrix if I am going to perform only what? The translation. Why? Because when you multiply any point P with the identity matrix, you will get what? You will get back the same matrix. So, that is the characteristic of the identity matrix. So, that is why we are using that thing. And the next point is what? Whenever I want to perform a rotation and or scaling is concerned, then my M2 is going to contain what? The translation terms associated with what? The pivot point or the fixed point. Means with respect to the rotation or scaling is concerned, okay, whether I am going to perform the rotation with respect to the pivot point or origin or any other fixed point, that information will be stored what? In this M2. Is it clear? So, and M1 will be always consists of what? The multiplicative factors. So, anyway here you can observe here. So, in this particular general form we are going to perform every time two operations, one is addition and another one is what? The multiplication. Okay. Now, to overcome this particular problem, as just now I try to convince you people. Okay. So, now see there how I am going to change my normal coordinate system to homogeneous coordinate system. So, here what I am going to do here, expand each two dimensional coordinate position represented in terms of x comma y to what? A 3 element representation. What are those 3 element representation? xh comma yh comma h, and which is called as the homogeneous coordinates. So, homogeneous coordinates consists of 3 elements, whereas my normal two dimensional consists of what? Only 2 elements, x comma y. That will be now converted to xh comma yh comma h, that I am going to call it as a homogeneous coordinate, or my h is called as what? The homogeneous parameter, and which should be always what? A non-zero. So, in non-zero, and in this case we are going to set that h is equal to we will take it as a 1, exactly 1, that we will take it. So, if that is the case, just have a look at there how we are going to write this. Okay. So, here now look at here my x. So, this x, now x I am going to write it what? X is equal to xh by h, and y is equal to what? Yh by h. At that time, okay, so this h factor becomes what? Exactly 1. Okay. So, xh by h, yh by h, and h becomes what? 1 there. Okay. And by using the same thing, now we can write the 3 element homogeneous coordinate system in this form. Okay. So, now see here, in place of xh, what I am going to write? H into x. See here, it will come over here, x into h is equal to what? Xh. So, in place of xh I am going to write h into x, in place of yh I am going to write h into y, and in place of h, okay, let it be, I am going to take it as what, exactly 1. So, this is what converting a 2D representation in terms of a 3 element representation which is called as a homogeneous coordinate system. And the purpose that I have already told, the main purpose of this homogeneous coordinate representation is to bring all our transformation methods with one particular mathematical operation, that is called multiplication. Okay. So, in that case here, now whatever the 2-dimensional matrices that we are having for our translation, rotation and scalings are concerned, now that we are going to write it in 3 dimensions, means 3 cross 3 matrices. So, here I am going to add one extra column, okay, extra column and extra row that we will be adding. Now, we will see how to represent it. So, it's all about the representation only. The theory part that you have already covered, what you mean by translation, everything. Okay. So, now look at there. So, how I am going to represent the translation, okay, in a homogeneous coordinate system is concerned. See here. So, this is my translation matrix, how I am writing 1 0 t x, 0 1 t y, 0 0 1. So, the last row that I have added. So, one row and one column I have added, and this column, okay, now the first 2 elements of the third column I am going to replace with the translation factors t x and t y. Actually, if you consider our actual translation is concerned, how our column matrix were represented, just do remember, this is point x comma y, okay, this is point x comma y, it was like this, is it clear, plus the translation factors only t x, t y, which is equal to what, only x dash, y dash, only this much was there. Now, what I have done, we are going to add the third element. What is the third element? The third element is that homogeneous parameter 1, here also 1 we have added, and one extra row and column we have added. So, this is how we can write the translation matrix for 2D. Now, look at here, for 2-dimensional translation, okay, in terms of homogeneous coordinate system, we can represent the matrix in terms of 3 cross 3, that is very important, 3 cross 3. So, if you want to represent 2D transformations, if you want to represent the 2D transformations in homogeneous, then you have to write 3 cross 3 matrix. If you want to represent 3-dimensional matrix in terms of homogeneous, then you should go for 4 cross 4, that we will discuss it later in the next class. Okay. So, now you can observe here, earlier my translation was done with addition, now it has been converted to what, multiplication. And if you multiply this matrix, now also you are going to get same equations. You can check it out, x dash equal to t x plus x and y dash equal to t y plus y, the same equation that you will get it. But the only thing is its arrangement has been done different. Why? Because somehow we wanted to eliminate that addition from the translation, because my rotation and scalings come up with what, multiplication. So, I wanted to convert this translation also as a what, multiplication. Now, all these 3 transformations are going to come up with what, the multiplication operation. So, this is the speciality of what, homogeneous coordinate system. Okay. Now, I am going to represent the same thing in terms of the matrix for notations here, you can observe. So, what we have written, so P is the point x comma y comma 1, and T of T x and T y is nothing but what, 3 cross 3 matrix. Okay. Then P dash is nothing but translated point x dash comma x dash y dash 1. Okay. So, where T of T x comma T y is what, a 3 cross 3 translation matrix. What is that matrix? This is the matrix that you have to remember. Okay. So, now we will move on to the next one, 2-dimensional rotation matrix. See there. So, just now we are going to represent in 3 cross 3. Why? Because we are using what, homogeneous coordinate system, do remember. Okay. So, just try to recall what was our previous 2D, normal 2D rotation. We are having only this x comma y, original point P. Okay. Then what was our normal simple 2 cross 2 matrix for rotation, only this much, cos theta minus sin theta cos theta, that is what rotation. Then what was my rotated point? X dash comma y dash, that is what? P dash. But now after converting this normal 2D into homogeneous coordinate system, I have to write in terms of 3 cross 3 matrix. So that is why what I have added here, I have added the H value here 1 1, and this 2 cross 2 matrix has been converted to what? 3 cross 3 by adding one extra column and one extra row. Is it clear? So now this is what the 2-dimensional rotation matrix, which is going to rotate with respect to which axis? What we have told, the default rotation is always what? The z axis. 2-dimensional rotation will be always done with respect to what? This is what? Z axis actually. Okay, so z axis, but represented in 3 cross 3 homogeneous coordinate system. Okay. Now we will move on to the scaling. So in scaling also you can observe here, now we have converted our 2 cross 2 into 3 cross 3. So what is happening over here? Earlier, before homogeneous, you can try to recall my point with what? X comma y, okay, and what was my matrix? Only Sx0, 0, Sy, 2 cross 2 matrix earlier it was, and scaled point was what? X dash comma y dash. This is for one point. So like that, a object might be consisting of multiple points that we can apply. Okay. So now this will be converted to what? 2 cross 2 to 3 cross 3. So now I am converting it into applying for that homogeneous coordinate system. So the another value that we have added over here, that's the h value, okay, parameter. Then we have converted 2 cross 2 to what? 3 cross 3 by adding the extra row and what? This column. Okay. So here P represents the point x1, x, y1, and this S of Sx, Sy represents the 3 cross 3 scaling matrix, then P dash represent what? The scaled point. Is it clear? So this is what the representation of translation, rotation, scaling of 2-dimensional in terms of 3 cross 3 matrix by using the concept of homogeneous coordinate system representation. Is it clear? Please do remember all these matrices. Later we will convert this 3 cross 3 matrix of 2-dimensional, that we are going to convert it into 3D. At that time we need to write these matrices in terms of 4 cross 4, 4 cross 4, that we need to write, that we will discuss it in the next lecture. Okay. And after this one, just there is a very small topic is there, that is the inverse transformation. So there is a concept called inverse. Okay. Inverse in the sense what? This is a reverse. Okay. So for all translation, rotation and scaling, we can perform the inverse translation, inverse rotation and inverse scaling over here. What is inverse translation? For 2-dimensional translation, the distances Tx and Ty, okay, the inverse translation matrix is given by what? So if at the time of translation, if the values are Tx and Ty, if I make it negation of this one, minus Tx minus Ty, then it will become what? The inverse. So it means that, for example, see here, imagine, okay, my point was here, then I moved over here, okay, by adding what? Tx and Ty. If I want to bring it back to the original position, then I have to subtract that what? With same Tx and Ty. Then automatically that subtraction with that negative values will come up with what? The inverse matrix. This is very simple concept. Hope all of you have understood this. Similarly, in 2-dimensional rotation, okay, we are going to perform the rotation with respect to an angle theta, okay, and with respect to always the rotation will be done with respect to what? Origin. At that time, the inverse matrix will be always given by, if theta is the normal rotation, then minus theta will become what? The inverse rotation. Okay. So at that time, if I substitute theta in place of what? Minus theta in place of theta, so what I am going to get it? See there, my actual rotation matrix is what? Cos theta minus sin theta, cos theta. But in place of theta, I am substituting what? Minus theta. So cos of minus theta means what? Cos of minus theta, that is cos theta, and it was minus sin theta. So minus sin of minus theta, so plus sin theta it will become. So here it was actually sin theta. Now in place of theta I am substituting minus theta, so it becomes minus sin theta, and once again cos of minus theta, cos theta as it is. Okay. So just there is a slight difference here that you can observe. especially in case of inverse rotation is concerned. Okay. Then last one is there, two dimensional scaling with a parameter Sx and Sy. What about the inverse matrix for scaling? The inverse matrix for scaling will come up with the reciprocal of that scaling factor. See here what I am writing. In normal scaling I will be writing Sx and Sy, but in case of inverse, S inverse, so I am going to write a reciprocal 1 by Sx, 1 by Sy. So if I do that, then automatically whatever the object that I have scaled, it will come back to its original size. The same thing will be here also for rotation. If I have done 45-degree rotation and if I apply minus 45, it will come back to what? The same position. That is it. Similarly, for the translation, if I have added 10 with translation, and later if I add minus 10, it will come back to what? Its original position. So that is the purpose of what? Inverse transformation. Is it clear? So this concept may also be get used while writing the programs in your graphics is concerned. And last topic is the very important topic here also, that is two dimensional composite transformation. See that right now we have studied the individual transformations like translation, rotation and scaling, but in the very beginning I told that most of the times we may need to go with these transformations in terms of multiple times. Sometimes I may need to go for translation followed by translation. Sometimes I may need to go for rotation followed by rotation. Sometimes I may need to go for what? Scaling followed by scaling. So multiple times I may need to apply the same type of transformation on my object. At that time we can call it as what? The composite transformation. So the composite transformation matrix, it can be calculated as the product of the individual transformation. It is the product of the individual transformation. Means, for example, see, if I want to perform translation followed by translation, then this is my translation matrix 1 and this is my translation matrix 2. If I multiply T1 and T2, that will become what? The composite transformation. That is nothing but what? It is calculated as what? The product of the individual transformation, and is also very popularly known as what? Concatenation of the matrices. Here we are going to what? Concatenate the matrices. So now just for example, see here. So if we want to apply two transformation to a point P, I am going to apply how many transformations? Two transformations to a point P. The transformed location will be calculated as, see there, this is my point P. So my first transformation is M1, my second transformation matrix is what? M2. Then if we multiply all these three, I am going to get what? The transformed point P dash. This is going to be happen. But now here what I will do, first I will make a composite transformation matrix by the product of this M2 and what? M1. When I will multiply the transformation matrix this M1 by what? This transformation matrix of M2, I will get another matrix called what? M, that is the resultant matrix. When I will multiply my any point P with this M, then also I am going to get what? The same transformed point P dash. So this effect is similar to what? This one. The only thing is, in this equation is concerned, if you observe here I am going to perform P is multiplied with M1. At that time you are going to get M1 dash. Then M1 dash is multiplied with M2. At that time you are going to get what? P dash. So rather than doing that two times separately, what you can do here, first I will multiply M1 and M2, means concatenate M1 and M2. I will be getting this M, and this M will be every time multiplied with any point P of that object, of that vertex is concerned. I will be getting what? A transformed position. This is the advantage of what? Composite transformation or concatenation of what? Composite transformation matrices. Is it clear? So the coordinate position is transformed using the composite matrix M here, rather than applying what? The individual transformation M1 and M2. This is the advantage here. So every time I don't want to multiply my point P with M1 and M2 separately. Okay. Why? Because first I will get and ready, I want to make ready with my answer m1 cross m2, and my m will be always ready, and every time every point will be multiplied with what? M. So, that I will go on doing with each and every vertex of the object, that is called as what? The two dimensional composite transformations. Now, we will see one by one here. So, here the first one is composite 2D translations. So, when I am going to apply successive translations here, see here, I want to perform the translation two times. Okay. One with the Tx1, T1x and T1y translation factors, and another translation with the T2x and T2y, okay, on a point P with two dimensional. Then I am going to get what? A transformed location P dash. Look at here, how I am going to perform this composite transformation here. My point P with x comma y is here. First I will multiply this one with first translation matrix, okay, and whatever the matrix that I will get, that will be get multiplied with next translation matrix. Then I am supposed to get what? P dash. But rather than doing this, see here what I am going to do here. First I will multiply these two translation matrices. See, this is the first translation matrix, second translation matrix. The same thing is happening here also. Okay, and these two will be get multiplied, and this is my resultant matrix. This is my what? Resultant matrix. Okay. By looking at this resultant matrix, you can observe here, especially this third column. Okay. So, what is happening over in the resultant matrix here? Whenever I want to perform two different transformations with two different translation factors, okay, when the successive translation will taking place, it is nothing but just like it is an adding of what? Those translation factors that we can conclude here by looking at this one. See here. So, rather than doing it multiplying separately, if you do this is sufficient. See there what is happening here. Okay, translation matrix of translation factor of first matrix plus translation factor of what? Second matrix. So, it means that it is additive in nature here, that is all. You go on adding the translation factors is nothing but what? The performing a translation followed by translation or composite transformation, that is it, that is the effect. Okay. So, this is the what we are going to prove this. So, finally, we can say that which demonstrates two successive translations are always what? Additive in nature. See there, additive in nature. Okay. So, no need to multiply the transformation matrix, translation matrices separately, just you add the translation factors, okay, first, then you finally multiply with that point, okay, then automatically you will get what? The final point translated. Okay. Similarly, we will go for the rotation here. If I want to perform two successive rotations on a point P here, see there, this is my point P. First I want to rotate with theta 1, then I want to rotate it what? Theta 2. First I will multiply this one, and this should be multiplied by this one, then I am going to get what? The final rotated point. So, it means that rather than doing this, see there, if I multiply here, first I will multiply matrix with theta 1 and theta 2. Okay. When I will multiply these two, I came to know that, see there, this is also additive in nature, r of theta 1 plus what? Theta 2. See, for example, say if you want to multiply with 30 degree first, then you want to multiply with 40 degree next. Okay. Rather than doing it separately 30 first, then 40. See, what I can do by using this particular concept is what? Two successive rotations are additive in nature. So, 40 plus 30, total how much degree I am going to rotate? 70. So, it means that rotation of a point with respect to 30 degree first, then 40 degree is equivalent to rotation of the same point with what? 70 degree, or same here. So, that is why we can conclude that two successive rotations are additive in nature. So, that is very important, that also you can remember. Then finally, what about the two successive scaling here? Okay. So, two successive scalings, whenever I want to perform the scaling factor. So, this is my first scaling Sx1, S1y, S1x, then this is my second scaling S2x, S2y. If I want to perform two successive scalings here, look at the matrix that I am going to get it. So, by looking at these factors, you can say that two successive scalings are multiplicative in nature, that is very important. They are called as what? Multiplicative in nature, look at here. So, S1x into S2x, S1y into what? S2y. Is it clear? See, for example, say if I want to multiply if I want to multiply, if you want to scale with the first matrix Sx as 2 was S1x, then S2x as what? Another 2. Okay. Then what happens here? When I want to perform scaling followed by scaling here, so 2 into 4, finally I can directly scale with what? 4. So it becomes 4 times bigger suddenly in x direction, that you have to remember. It will become what? Suddenly it will become the 4 times bigger than the original one in terms of what? X direction. Why? Because my scaling factors are what? Sx. The same thing may be applicable if you take some values for what? S5 also. Okay. So finally our conclusion is what? In case of composite transformations are concerned, 2 successive translations are additive in nature, 2 successive rotations are additive in nature, then 2 successive scalings are multiplicative in nature, that you have to remember. Okay. Thank you.